So for those of you who are new to the Enneagram, and for those of you who've done some Enneagram tests, what we have to do, you guys do today, is how to find your type in the presentation. And it's also good because your type may change over time, and it's not your underlying type that changes, it's actually how you move around in the world. You will move around the circumference of the circle, you may move across the lines. So who you are today may be different from 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, in terms of how you show up in the world. And at the same time, your knowledge of yourself is always increasing with age. Your awareness of your own behavior patterns, your awareness of your own thoughts and feelings are different today than it was when you were young or younger. And that may actually cause you to show up as another type. So it's worth going through this exercise today as a fresh pair of eyes. I'm going to present to you all different 9 types in probably a way you haven't seen before or read about before. I'm going to use a lot of images which are far more, I think, far easier and clearer to sometimes see your type. So what we have here is what I've written on the board before. You have a body center, heart center, and head center, and you also got the process Enneagram, the 2 different types of Enneagram. So basically, we're going to go through each of these 9 types and the stress triggers and behaviors that limit their ability to give and receive love. And due to movements along the lines, the wings and arrows, you're going to exhibit stress behaviors of all 9 types at some point in your life. And you're also directly connected to 5 or 6 types. So what do I mean by this? Let's take Enneagram type 1, for example. Oh, that's not what I want to do. So if you look at 1 on either here on the wall or whichever is easier for you. So what numbers are the one connected to? If you look to the left, you have, anti-clockwise, you have a 9. That's considered a 1 with a 9 wing if you're in the space between 1 and 9. Or you can be 1 with a 2 wing if you're in the space between 1 and 2. So you have each type, you have 2 wings on each side. So the saying goes in the Enneagram schools and theories, if you compress 2 of your wings together, you get the main type. So the 1 is a kind of a combination of the 9 and 2. You squash them together, you get a type 1. So these 2 types are very interrelated to each other. 9 and 1 are very close, 1 and 2 are very close. So it's very easy to be positioned around the circumference of the circle, whereby you are in a space, you're not sure whether you're like 1 wing 2 or 2 wing 1. That's very common. At the same time, you can move along the line. So 1 is also connected to 4 and 7. It's called the 1-4-7 triangle, the idealist triangle. So what can happen if you look at the process Enneagram is how you can move under stress or growth. And I mean, I'll just keep it simple here, but under stress, the 1 would move towards 4. So if you're a stressed out 1, you may show up as 4. If you're a 1 who's a bit more relaxed, you may show up as 7. And you may type as a type 7, and you may show up in Enneagram test as a 7. But actually, your core underlying type is a 1. So you see the 1 in itself, if your type 1 is your core type, you could easily type as a 9, a 1, a 2, a 4, and a 7. You could type as 5 different types quite easily without even moving around the circumference of the circles or looking at wings. You look at type 2. Let's look at type 2. 2 is a little bit more complicated than 1 in the sense that you're not only connected to 1 and 3 on the original Enneagram diagram in the top right-hand corner of the screen. You're also connected to 4 and 7. On 5 and 8. So you have 1, 2, and 3. It's also a core part of the 2. And you have a 5 and an 8, which is a core part of the 2. But if you flip across to the process Enneagram, which is how you function in everyday life, a 2 under stress goes to 8. And you also got under growth it goes to 4. So you've got an additional line to 4 there if you're type 2. So not in the 1 you could be a combination of 5 types. If you're type 2, you could actually a combination of 6 types, which you could easily show up in stress behaviors of 6 types very easily because you're connected to all these types by just 1 line. So therein lies one of the biggest challenges and difficulties in using the Enneagram, because you could easily show up at either of the 6 points. You may not know which is your core point, and eventually once you work with the system long enough, you will have to learn how to integrate all 5 and 6 different types out of your core type structure in order to be more balanced and complete as an individual and reduce those stress behaviors which you may manifest. Okay, so in all 9 types, no one type is better than another. All types, as you will see today, have their own strengths and weaknesses. There's no point wishing you're another type, because if you're a type, you have to deal with those weaknesses too and those stress behaviors. And it's fine if you do manifest those, and you can easily do, but they will all have something that other types or other people don't quite like in them. So all these types will do stress behaviors and cause them problems in relationships. But why are there only 9 types, you say? Well, yeah, naturally everyone is unique and is a wonderful individual. And you are much, much more than your type. But nonetheless, there are patterns of behavior that exist in human interactions. And these 9 types, my own teachers have been doing interviews with them for over 40 years. They've interviewed thousands of people all around the world, Asia, US, Europe, Australia, and so on. And these thousands of interviews have confirmed the existence of these 9 types. And so there's pretty strong scientific anecdotal evidence that there are only 9 main types. But again, you're very unique and you're very different, and how you show up as a 1 will be different from other ones and so on. But you will have some things in common that are similar, such as the fact that all humans basically have 2 eyes, not 3 eyes, or 2 arms, not 4 arms. So there's some things you will have in common with other people of your type. So to the exercise that you'll be just about to do, we're going to go through each of the 8 behaviors. So tick which one of the stress behavior descriptions fits you, and take your first impression. Don't think about it too much. So do not overthink. Answer honestly and accurately. So this is an exam, but the more accurately you can answer, the easier it will be to find your type. And take also note of which of the stress triggers and behaviors cause the biggest reaction in you. So often that gives the biggest clue as to what your type is. So don't worry or think about other people and what other people's types are. This is the time for you guys who are here today. You've taken all the time out to come today. So just take this time out for yourself and to get to know yourself better and examine areas of your own life that you may not have thought of before. So let's move on to the first type of the Enneagram.